One thing I'll say about the Kenyan food that was there in the stadium, and this is just me. I don't know exactly who was running the Kenyan booth this time, so I stayed in that line for a whole hour. And
a friend mentioned that as well, Ali. A friend has
Yes.
mentioned that they stayed in the Kenyan queue for the longest.
It was a whole hour and I still did not make it because the Kenyan game was getting started. So I decided to go eat some Canadian poutine or something. But now I think one of the biggest issues, like having done catering, like and disclaimer, my family is in this business. There's certain basic rules. Because place kama hiyo hapo, you don't have a lot of competition. It's a place to mint money.
Correct. So the people who are doing the Kenyan booth, it wasn't our regular folks or people who did they look like they had done it before or they were learning on the job?
So this time I don't know who did it because I did not even see anyone there.
Yeah.
And you see, the thing that I would have liked to see, like which if Alex Owino, like part of the stadium experience for the Kenya corner,
yes.
I would have liked for Kenya to be where those Fijians are. Where they were doing that open chicken, because that's close to the stage, and all these other little booths that were all over the place. Kulikuwa na booth ya Magical Kenya. To be honest, I don't know exactly. There was nothing magical about the booth, but there was a booth there.
Did you get a calendar?
I don't know.
Did you get a hat?
I did not even go. So there was Magical Kenya. Then there was also Tusker. I saw Tusker somewhere in the stadium. And then also M-Pesa. M-Pesa was also somewhere in the stadium. Yes. So to me, I would have liked a curated experience where tunakam hii corner and we get all these experiences. Yeah. Let me go back to Shtuns. There was something that Shtuns had mentioned to me earlier before the show that about logistics in LA and mambo ya Uber rides na nini. Talk to us. How are the Uber rides in LA compared to those you take in Glasgow, Scotland?
There was 4 of us who traveled over, and it was a lot easier for us kind of like to carpool. However, there's one of us, as in like, I think for me, my Uber rides, as in like, we were taking chances in divvying up the Uber rides. Mines came to, for the whole tournament, mines were around about £400.
Ouch.
Ish.
For the weekend.
And one of our friends tallied his to 1,000.
Wait a minute. £1,000.
Yes.
For the 3-day weekend.
Yes, and that's just 2 of us who've tallied it. Okay, well, there was 3 out of 2 who used their Uber, because ilikuwa, if we were going somewhere together, we would get an Uber and carpool, so that was easy. There was one time one of ours, without naming names, was going to a golf tournament all through to Konya's place, and the ride was $90.
Wow. $90.
Yes.
Okay. And this is why I
don't know how my Uber company didn't call me, because it must have been like, your Uber must have been hacked. To be quite honest, LA is expensive in terms of movement.
It is expensive.
And the traffic
is ridiculous. You know one hack I discovered that made my life much easier in LA?
Yeah.
Avoid downtown like the plague. So
where's downtown?
So downtown is where you see tall buildings. Were there tall buildings where you are? If you are seeing tall buildings, that is downtown.
All right. Okay. We were staying at the hotels at the airport.
Okay, so that's LAX. So that's, I mean, it's also not too far from it's not too far from downtown. But then downtown is where kind of like where most people tend to stay. Like that Westin where Kenyans were staying, it used to be in downtown. So this time,
Okay.
I tossed a coin and decided I'm gonna go stay in near the study in Torrance, and that was the best decision I ever made. I had a rental car that cost me $64. That's probably one Uber ride for you.
Very true, very true.
Yes.
The cheapest Uber ride I paid was around about $30, and I had you call them dollars, not dollars.
Dollars, yeah. Dollars.
Yeah. Ali will say dollars.
Dollars, yeah.
Is that it was funny when we were saying it, we were like, not dollars, it's dollars.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Anyway,
dollars.
How much did
the
you pay for
cheapest was
conversion?
from our hotel to the stadium. That was around about 30. That's the cheapest we ever paid.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
How do you move around, Jerry, in LA?
I'm telling you, I echo Anita's sentiments 100%. I'd be curious to know how much the conversion was and how much extra those bank fees were for you, Anita. Converting from what do you use in Glasgow? Do you use euros, pounds? Pounds, yes.
So we use pounds.
Yeah.
We use pounds.
It was miserable. I'm sure I'm not the first to say this, but for heaven's sake, take this tournament away from LA. Tafadhali. Back to Vegas. Like yesterday, tafadhali, LA is simply unaffordable. And not only is it unaffordable, it is huge and vast for no real reason. And and just wildly expensive. It is hard to get to. I mean, when you think about, for example, Vegas, my understanding is that the hotels actually subsidize flights, which is why flights to Vegas are so freaking cheap. Flights to Vegas are always extremely cheap. And hotels are cheap because they know ukikuja hapo you will leave
they know
bag.
you spend you leave a bag.
Yes.
Yeah. But on the flip side, hapo tu chini from hapo chini LA, I mean, it is just ridiculous.
But
and I feel bad for Anita that this was her introduction into America. We have better places, my dear.
Kuja DC.
Yes.
Kuja DC.
Then the other thing I just wanted to add on to it. Not that I'm a cheapskate or anything. A can of beer, $19. A can of beer.
Dollars. Yeah. Where was that? In the stadium or in the?
In the stadium.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
A
Utajua hujui.
can of beer.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's what beer was it? Let's know. We have to be specific. What was it? Bud Light.
I think they just standardized majority of the beers. If we were drinking, is it Modelo?
Yeah.
Pole sana.
Well, if you
19.
well, if you don't drink like me, then you get to save that $19.
Yeah, or occasionally all you need is sunscreen. You just go there with sunscreen and you're good to go. You don't need to buy the.
But if you're smart like some people, yeah.
No, we had our sunscreens. However, we just want kind of like
I'm a
promote
binoculars.
local and taste local beer, and then also there's just so much sunscreen you can take. You want like beer to hydrate. Sorry.
Wengine walikuwa SPF 1000
No, and I agree. LA is expensive. For me, it's easy for me to say because I do not drink, so it's easy for me to get like a car rental when I go there, and it's $64. Someone was asking me if it was $64 a day. No, it was $64 the whole weekend.
The whole period.
Yes, the whole period, $64. No, and this it was a Toyota Corolla.
I know my tuk-tuk.
Yeah, it was a very solid Toyota Corolla. And like one thing that I think people need to learn is if you wanna save money, stay away from brands, even hotels. The hotel that I stayed in, it's one of those brands I've never heard of. It's called Red Duck Gateway Hotel. But I tossed a coin. I booked it on Hotwire, and it turned out to be a very amazing place to stay. In fact, it even had unajua this toilets that ikona bidet. Like I even had a problem. I at some point I was like, I'm gonna call the people in this hotel to teach me how to use this, cause nile ikona buttons. Like when you go, ukitaka maji, ukitaka ikudry na nini, it was one of those.
How much were you paying per night?
So I know the whole weekend, I checked in on Friday, I checked out on Monday, I paid $354, including taxes and everything. $354, yes.
I want to see that that
And then
receipt.
I shared it with them. Yeah, because people did not believe me. Yeah, and it was 12 minutes from the study. Stunts.
Yeah, sorry. You say 354 for how many?
I checked in on Friday and I checked out on Monday. How many days are those? Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Those are 3 nights.
100, roughly 100. And then the other thing, what's with this plus tax? Why don't you just tell me, I'm giving you this phone, it's $100, include the tax. So why give me this price and then tell me an additional tax? It's kind of like, it's deceiving.
Welcome to America. Sales tax. Plus, now Jonah Zile plus SNH. Have you ever seen something plus SNH? Plus shipping
What the hell is that?
plus shipping and handling. And then kuna ile gratuity, automatic gratuity.
Then that as well. Why do you beg for tips? Why?
Because we pay less than minimum wage to our service workers, unfortunately. So
Yes.
their income is coming mainly from the tips.
So ideally, I wait at one point in time. I think that this has been the lowest. The minimum wage at one point I know was like $2.30 per hour. So you have to rely on tips. And
That's
it's a
why we're
conversation.
extra
That is really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because coming from the UK, our culture on tipping is you tip where the service has been good. And it shouldn't be an expectation.
Over
here it is an expectation. Over here
You'll be side-eyed if you don't.
You will place an order for pickup.
Yeah.
When you go to check out,
yeah.
not even that, you walk into a restaurant, fast food, whatever, it doesn't matter. You place
Exactly.
your order, you're given your food, you go to pay. When you swipe, you have a thing over there saying, do you want a tip? Those
Exactly, and you've not had any service. You've not had any service.
Yeah, I mean, those are, like, those are American problems. Or don't be hard on us. Like, see to Mezizoea.
Don't forget.
Sorry,
Don't forget tariffs.
it was a bit of a culture shock there.
Did you see?
Because I remember when I was leaving, my neighbor had just come from New York, and they went to, actually, was it a Starbucks or one of those Subway things, or one of those places where you do your own coffee, went just to pay, and the waitress was expecting a tip, and they're like, you actually should be tipping me because I made this coffee myself.
Wow.
So it's a bit of that was a culture shock and awakening, because for us, when you see the price, that's the price you pay at the till, and that's it.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you've experienced the shock of you've booked a hotel, you've paid for it, and then when you check in, they tell you there's a $40 a night resort fee.
Yes.
Have you? Okay. So at least you now have experience. At least you prepare for that.
Whatever we thought we were going to pay wasn't what was expected. So I feel that's a bit deceiving.
No, I totally agree. Americans have very deceptive business habits, and they seem normal because we've lived here, but these are very deceptive business habits that people from other places find very weird, whereby like it's almost like nilazima. The tipping standard I like the tipping standard for rideshare, for Uber and Lyft, whereby you go home and decide whether you want to tip or not. I love that. But Ikitu, I think they need to start paying servers minimum wage,
Right.
so that whether they're tipped, so that if there's
Absolutely.
a tip, it's an additional tip, and nothing more. But as far as logistics is concerned, hapa tuchana sema LA is affordable if you know how to navigate. I think part of the problem is the event promoters and the DJs who are hosting events in very far-flung places. you know, kuna event iko Long Beach, kuna event ingine sijui iko wapi. There are places that uneka kwa GPS, it's more than an hour away, and I'm like, mi hata kama niko na rental, anything, my standard was 35 minutes. Anything beyond neka kwa GPS, beyond 35 minutes, sorry, I am not going. So I think if everyone like rotated their events, even if you don't want to work together, but rotate your events around the stadium, because the stadium is the main event. So if they could rotate the events around the stadium to give people, you know, like a certain radius in which to move around and in which to pick a hotel, things would be okay. But event moja iko huku, event ingine iko kule, so that becomes quite problematic. Yeah. So I think that's one thing that people need to consider the next time, because like you said, LA is a very expensive city. But do you think if rugby goes back to Vegas, it will start bringing in that? One thing I like about LA is that it brought back rugby, because Vegas at some point there was a lot of shenanigans, you know, like many people were coming, you know, there were people. There was a day I was meeting, you know, like very young, good-looking chicks from Kenya, and they were very honest with me, you know, like, or they were like, oh, you look, it was early in the morning, I was getting ready to go to the game. They're like, hey, you look so fresh. Kwani, you did not go out or anything? I was like, no, because there's the game is about to start. It's gonna start in an hour. I'm on my way there. Then they were like, what game? They honestly, these are Kenyans who've come to Vegas because there's other Kenyans, they had no idea that there were games. Then they're like, what games are you talking about? I was like, the reason why people have come to Vegas is because of rugby. Yes.
You should have told them you're going to see muscly men in tight shorts. They would be. That's another way to market the event for the ladies.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I agree with that.
There was quite you remember Vegas, at a certain point, people were doing day parties. We actually got in trouble here in the show for calling out those day parties.
Yes, we did.
Day parties that were happening when rugby was going on. And
that has always been our conflict. That has always been our I think, I'm not going to say red line. And that is why, you know, and I listened to what Ali was saying. I think the benefit or the advantage of having the games in LA, the focus is solely on rugby. There's no let's go day party, there's a pool party, there's no strip, there's no gambling, there's no sijui what, blue men, tight men, yellow men.
Blue men,
Upper, you're going strictly, you just know you're going rugby. From rugby
is the main
utaenda
event.
Kadunda inafungwa saa ngapi? 2. If there's another party,
I know enough time to go and recover.
You have time to go recover. Next day unamaliza, then from there you can manage my challenges. That is what I think. But this one is looking at me like really, are you like one of those white guys wearing that white cap? Sorry, carry on.
I don't disagree. There were folks that would come there and they would be there for the whole weekend, that you would never see them in the
That's
pitch.
exactly what used to happen.
Yeah, but I don't think that the pitch was ever at any point lacking Kenyans or fan support.
So there were some games, the early morning Sunday games.
Hakukuwa na watu, ilikuwa just sisi wa kidogo wenye tumekuja for the nini.
Yes, and that's a problem.
But from the point of view of the organizers, I mean, I would like to think that even those folks that were coming for the sherehe part of it, they were purchasing tickets to in the hope that they make it to the pitch at least one of those days.
Now, how are people purchasing tickets when they don't know? Some of them don't even know that there's a game. How are you purchasing something that you don't know? Let me tell you something.
Okay.
You know, when you're sober, there are so many things that you see that many other people don't see. And last year was a control experiment. Kenya did not play. And this has been my gripe with especially these promoters who come and very arrogantly decide that I'm going to do a day party. There was a flyer that was thrown out, but I think ikapotea. there was a flyer that had a party that was starting at noon. LA. Yes, on Sunday. It was thrown up, but I think ilivutwa after people said a thing or two. Last year, when there was because there was a point when there was an argument at we are the ones who bring people out here. From not all, from some of the promoters and DJs. So last year, there was a control experiment. The rugby team did not come. Guess how many sherehes were in LA? 0. None. Which goes to tell you that actually the people that bring Kenyans to LA,
alone.
it's the players. It's not the DJs, it's not the artists, it's not because think about it, artists stop coming. Nowadays hakuna wasanii, but guess what? People are still going. And I think this is one of those tough realities that people don't want to say because mtu anaona I mean we've been attacked multiple times on the show over the years, so we kind of got used to it. So I think it's important to understand, and you see a lot of these people who are not coming to the stadium, they also don't understand, most of them don't understand that that's where the best sherehe is, because a lot of times when they get to the stadium they're like, hey mbaze mbona hiki tuamkutuambia mapema. That's where the best party,
I know, right?
That's where the best party is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's where the best party is. I mean, I don't know what parties you all went to. I think Mini Lendele players the players showed up on Sunday.
On Sunday, I was there as well.
Which other one did you go to, Stuns?
I did Fully Focus on Friday.
Okay. And how was that experience?
It was quite good, actually. Fully Focus was quite good.
Okay.
I did Shinski on Saturday, I think.
Okay. And how was that?
It was actually good.
Okay. All right. Good. Nanjeri, Woli and Dagan.
Friday I attended a dinner somewhere in the Beverly Hills. Yes.
Caviar.
Yeah, we are Linda Caviar. We know Caviar.
Well, there was no
Jerry,
caviar.
spill the beans.
But the food was exceptional, as the company as well.
But was it a Kenyan? It was just
Yes,
something
but
different on the side.
it was private. Invite only.
Okay.
Yes.
Caviar.
Invite.
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, was it that we went to Konyes? We went to Konyes on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I decided to make the great escape and go and sleep. So I didn't go to.
Good idea.
I didn't go to the one you went to Anita, and then on Sunday, of course, we went to the one in View Lounge.
View Lounge, in Torrance, yeah. Which I think, like hiyo Sunday kuna vile ilishika
sana.
Yeah, kuna vile ilishika.
Yeah.
Na hata hiyo ugali pia, hiyo ugali ilikuwa tamu pia. I don't know whether you guys made it for the ugali and nyama.
I had the nyama.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it was
amazing. Also had ugali, nyama, samosas.
Okay. Yeah. And then that's where the players were given awards. And the interesting thing with the players, and this is why I think it's important for everyone to understand the rugby culture. A lot of us here have been in this culture for a very long time. Some of us from before we came to the US. There was, like a section that was laid out for the players, the men and the women, by the organizers of the party. But when the players came, they preferred to mingle with
everyone. Yeah,
it was their own personal preference. They're not, and I think that's why it's important to get to understand that culture. Maybe if this was golf, maybe golfers. Me, I don't play golf. Maybe golfers like getting treated differently. Yeah. But as far as I know, with rugby players, they like connecting with their fans, which I think was a very cool thing to do. So I think like for the people who organize events, I think it's very important first of all to acknowledge that Kitu, people are there because of rugby. Like there's a control experiment now. Like it's no longer a subject of debate. It used to be a subject of intense debate. Why are people going rugby? People could even write a term paper on whether it's the players, it's the rugby that takes people there, or if it's a sherehe. The control experiment that was done last year put that to rest. And this year, actually, there were so many people who attended. So I think that was some amazing, like it was some amazing times. It was very good times. There was also a sighting of LA Consul General Ezra Chiloba. Yeah. And to me, the one thing, in fact, before I get to that, because we're about to wrap up, I wanted to ask about your food experiences. Did you guys enjoy food in the stadium? Did you eat any Kenyan? Shtuns, did you have a chance to eat any Kenyan, or what were you eating in the stadium?
Burgers. Oh, sorry.
It's interesting. I think I shared this with you. The only thing I saw, and I saw it in a picture, was I didn't know there was an East African stall. For us, what we had was that kukupono.
The one from is it the Samoans or the Fijians who are making it? Pale kwa kona.
Fijians.
It was
Yeah,
Fijians,
kukupono, you could just see it rotating,
Yeah.
and I think they did a good advertising, and it was so easy. Enda hapo chukua kula. You
Ile
had your
kuku
kuku.
wakapoa, ile
That's
kuku
it.
wakapoa.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't have to be
So
Luya to
so
enjoy
you did not eat the Kenyan food. Is it because
No.
you didn't know it was there, or is it
It's
because
because I did not know it was there. In fact, when I saw a picture somewhere and I was like, there was even an East African stall. I didn't know it was
you know one thing?
Because next to the kukupono, there was just your chips and kind of like your chips with cheese or whatever. Hapo ndo tuliona chakula. I didn't see any visibility of Kenyan food.
Was there South African food?
No, I don't know that there was South African food, but
Ile
one
mkate.
thing I'll say about the Kenyan food that was there in the stadium, and this is just me. I don't know exactly who was running the Kenyan booth this time, so I stayed in that line for a whole hour, and
A friend mentioned that as
Yes.
well,
No,
Ali. A friend has
Yes.
mentioned that they stayed in the Kenyan queue for the longest.
it was a whole hour, and I still did not make it. Because the Kenyan game was getting started. So I decided to go eat some Canadian poutine or something. But now, I think one of the biggest issues, like having done catering, like and disclaimer, my family is in this business. There's certain basic rules. Because place kama hiyo hapo, you don't have a lot of competition. It's a place to mint money.
Correct.
So
Yep.
two errors that I noticed, but of course me, I was there just as a reveler, so I couldn't say. It was the branding. Like when it comes to food, you never want to generalize. You never hear Asian food or European food. You have to say Kenyan, because in that event especially, Kenya is one of the few African countries represented. So you have to be very specific and say Kenyan. The way they will say Canadian or whatever. With food, even a restaurant, even Swahili Village, they had tried branding with a true taste of Africa, and they changed. Yeah, they changed to a taste of Kenya. And actually,
East Africa, right? I think they said
no,
East
now it's Kenya.
Oh, it's straight Kenya?
It's straight up Kenya. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's now straight up Kenya. Yeah, Iyo mambo East Africa, when it comes to food, think about it. Which are your favorite cuisines? Have you ever heard of East African cuisine or West Africa? It's Nigerian,
yeah,
it's Ethiopian, it's Thai.
I mean, it's
Yes. So number one.
Yep.
Number two, whenever you're in such events, because of people are just going in and out, you need portable foods very quick.
Correct.
Vitu za kuweka na
Yes,
na
all,
kutoka.
all hands to the pump.
Yes. Have a simple menu. Have a few things.
Kenyan food. It's 4 things. that you need.
Sausages.
Just 4 things.
Sausages.
The Buddha.
Samosas. Yeah, that one
Exactly.
right there.
Buddha.
Mandazis.
Mandazis,
Mandazis is
portable
a
stuff.
if. Mandazis is an if, because mandazis can be tricky.
Yeah, but
Mandazis is an
portable stuff.
Yes.
Whereby mtu anaingia na kutoka, na kutoka. Some of that food that I
Exactly.
ate, like the chicken was good, but there was on that Canadian booth, hiyo walikuwa na brisket on that poutine, ilikuwa ina anything, ilikuwa hata ina chumvi, ilikuwa ni kama tu imekuwa boiled. So but they were selling
Yani
it.
ulikula boiro.
Nilikula boiro because there was no other option. The Kenyan line was so long.
The Kenyan line is always long.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
was
like
so
this
long.
Is new.
I thought of being corrupt, but then I remembered that I'm a
haram.
good guy now. It's haram. I remembered it's haram, and then I was like, you know what? Let me go.
After you remembered you're a good guy.
Yeah, and then I remembered I'm a good guy. Then I said, you know what? Let me not cut line. Let me just go to the Canadians and eat there. And I also ate the chicken from the Fijians too, which was really nice.
That rotating.
The one that's rotating in the
Kukupono.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Cow 25 that bob for.
No. It was actually cheaper than that. It was cheaper than that.
I normally
think,
buy like almost a whole kuku.
It was 25. It was 25. I think it was 25, but
Yeah.
because I bought 3 plates, then I paid 79. So I
Yes,
didn't
it's-
understand
and
that.
it's-
Probably
it's-
plus tax.
Yes, it's like it depends on what capacity you get.
Yeah.
So if you're like ule mtu wa 79, you know exactly how many she was getting. She was probably getting about 2.5 kukus,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't tell people how many kukus she got. But so the people who were doing the Kenyan booth, it wasn't our regular folks or people who did they look like they had done it before or they were learning on the job?
So this time I don't know who did it because I did not even see anyone there.
Yeah.
And you see, the thing that I would have liked to see, like which if Alex Owino, like part of the stadium experience for the Kenya corner,
Yes.
I would have liked for Kenya to be where those Fijians are. You know where they were doing that open chicken because that's close to the stage, and all these other little booths that were all over the place. Kulikuwa na booth ya Magical Kenya. To be honest, I don't know exactly. There was nothing magical about the booth, but there was a booth there.
Did you get a calendar?
I don't know.
Did you get a hat?
I did not even go. So there was Magical Kenya. Then there was also Tusker. I saw Tusker somewhere in the stadium. And then also
Safcom?
also M-Pesa. M-Pesa was also somewhere in the stadium.
Yes.
So to me, I would have liked a curated experience where tunakam hii corner and we get all these experiences.
Yeah, like the one we had in Vegas.
Like
right?
the one we had in Vegas.
It was an actual corner.
Yeah, it was an actual corner.
There was
yeah.
2 booths for food, and then the rest
Yeah,
were
because
vendors, right?
because we also had a booth. We actually made quite some money in Vegas. I think we need to make a comeback in LA. Yeah, let me not say, but we did make quite a killing. Iyo kwanza kuza match, we were selling merchandise in Vegas, but now because LA is a new place, we did not know the lay of the land. But I would have liked for that experience to be a bit more curated, where Kenyans were katikaing. If on the side you could go and buy some Kenyan merch, some Kenyan scarves, some Kenyan this, some Kenyan that.
Yeah.
I think that would have been good, but there was a scattering of all these different vendors, and I think overall our presence wasn't felt.
Maybe
as it was
maybe if
supposed
they're listening, it's a learning experience and they can try to do that where they work out just the
tuko
whole
division.
thing.
Since tuko division 2.
Waweke our two, but they'll still be back.
But if we're going to have a game in LA though, are we going to have a
No,
game in
so
LA?
so I think those last 3 legs, LA has to be one of them, because
right.
LA is gonna be hosting Olympics, so there will be an LA next year. There will be an LA.
But will we make it in the Oswala?
So I think we'll make it, because you have to be top 4 of 6. I think we're good enough in Division 2 to make top 4 of 6.
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, unless a tragedy happens, I don't see how. We were supposed to be in the core. We're supposed to be playing in the core.
Yeah, the goalpost has shifted, and I don't know. It's almost like I feel like somebody needs to go in there and appeal and say, hii kitu mumetuweza, mutoe hizi upuzi, bring that circuit that you want after 2028.
Yeah,
that goalpost shifted and shafted.
Yeah. In fact, even before I forget, when I was coming back, I came back with a very early morning flight. I met the Colombian ladies rugby team. And they played against Kenya, and I was wearing my Kenyan shirt. I was wearing my Kenyan shirt. No, they just came and said, like, you guys were so exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, because for a lot of them, it was also their first time coming to the US.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And
they
then seeing
acknowledged,
that
they actually
yes.
acknowledged that.
Yes.
And that goes to show you that this brand Kenya, we really need to take care of it, especially the rugby brand. It's respected in so many parts.
But what are our people doing? Easy Magical Kenya, ama sijui nini? What are they doing
Jerry,
to push? What I mean,
on that note,
what you have seen
probably
in other
Jerry
places?
can help us with that.
Yeah, and Jerry, talk to us.
I didn't even know they were there.
You didn't know
I
that
did
look,
not-
Magical
we-
Kenya was there?
I did not
Yes,
know
they were there. They were there.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were there. And just to bring you back to the Kenyan experience, you mentioned Ezra Chiloba was there. And me, when you tell me someone is consul general, that he represents Serikali.
Yes. Correct.
He is the face of government in the event.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. What value add did the government have for the Kenyans that were there? Apart from the photo ops, I mean, because I was one of the people who took photos with Ezra, because of the IABC thing. But in terms of value add, what value did his presence there bring to the Kenyans? So, and I'm asking that because I'm going in a certain direction here. Okay. You've said promoting Kenya and
Cultural,
really,
blah, blah,
yes,
tourism, yada.
Exactly. But on the flip side, in terms of a missed opportunity, it was a huge missed opportunity to actually serve Kenyans, because how many places do you go where there's a huge congregation of Kenyans?
No, that's one of the biggest.
Anywhere. And yet there wasn't a single person there saying, hey, we are going to register you to vote. We are going to take your biometrics just in case you lost your passport. We'll bring biometrics to you, and you are going to
mobile
do it
console services.
Big Ted tried that when he was here.
That's something that they have tried before at the rugby events, and I think ni kama walianguka on their face.
So
I think logistics za hizo vitu for them. I'm speaking on the outside. I'm not trying to defend anybody or whatever it is.
Right.
But I don't know if they do that or off. If we don't get certain numbers, then we are not sending people. I don't know.
No. I think they don't talk to the right people.
But they also don't advertise. They don't advertise.
It's not a matter of making a profit. It's just serving.
No. It's not about. Them. They look at numbers.
But you see, to them, but Donakwambia Omosh, they don't talk to the right people, because even when you're advertising in marketing, which I do a lot of, in marketing, you have to know the right places. You can't just target everything. And then you can't say, we posted it on our website. Who the hell goes to your website? Or we posted it on our Facebook page. Who in the world goes to your Facebook page?
They even say that we sent emails to who?
Yeah. Who did you send? Who waits for emails from Kenyan Embassy?
No, what's the other one that they go to? The churches. What's the one that we were told that, we went to an organization, to the Kenyan organization?
Yeah, to the Kenyan organization.
Don't you belong to a Kenyan organization? Yeah. Do you know a Kenyan organization to belong to?
And you see, that is a mistake that they make.
That's what they tell us all the
time. That's a mistake that
we actually ask them.
They tell you that you should register with a Kenyan organization. Yeah. Who is registering with a Kenyan organization?
Which Kenyan organization?
Which Kenyan organization are you talking
Kenyan
about?
church. That's the other one that they throw at Kenyan church. Yeah. Or the pastors. Or it's like, okay,
this is
so what this boils down to is that there was no genuine goodwill from them to provide services, the services that we would need as people who are in the diaspora. I say that with my chest. Kwa sababu, if they really wanted to give these services to us, they would have found a way. They would have marketed, they would have networked with folks like you and other people, Akina Konye, people who are on the ground, who can mobilize people to get the services that they need. I'm tired of this abusive relationship of Kenyans in the diaspora being mules for the country and filling the coffers with foreign exchange without representation and without services from the government that not the government but the country that we are rooting for and we strive to help. It's time we started to hold these people to a higher standard, not give them excuses, not make excuses for them. Hold them to the higher standard. You are there to represent the government of Kenya. Bring something to us that's tangible, and we're going to feel your presence. Tutakushukuru.
The problem with government is that, this is coming from Kenya, even a lot of these diplomats who come here, they see themselves as Bwana Mkubwa. They feel like coming and calling Konye or calling Mokwasi or calling Ali, they feel like that's beneath them. And that's the attitude that they come with. Yet, we are the people who've been here for so many years. Yeah. We are the people who are constantly in touch with people on the ground. We are the people who will direct you to the right places if you're looking for people. The one person who did that differently, actually two people. Balozi Odembo many years back, and Big Ted. Both of these people, they for me personally, they found my number and they called me. Me, I was very shocked. You know, like I've never, you know, like expected ever like for an ambassador to call me, like someone. Makata sometimes unafikiria me when Ambassador Odembo called me, I thought it was a prank. I totally thought it was a prank. Yeah, he had to confirm that he's the ambassador and he was given my number and he's trying to connect to people. So I think a lot of these people who come in, you know, where they're pointed here, they're given gifts, you know, because they supported a certain candidate. They don't want to be here in the first place, and then they come with that Bwana Mkubwa syndrome. So I think that's very problematic. And Ezra Chiloba, you know, like if this is the attitude that you're gonna go with, you're not gonna do very well here. But then at the end of the day, I don't think they care about
you know,
doing well here.
He knows where his bread is buttered, what side of his bread is buttered.
Exactly.
But that thing of showing up for a photo op, those days have passed, bwana.
Yeah.
Sasa now we want, unakuja kufanya nini?
Yeah.